Hi all, welcome, Cynthia here. Today I'm going to do a 8.5 by 11 layout. So I don't do these too often, but occasionally I like to do one and throw it in among the rest of the pages. And the two photos that I have are small photos. The quality is not that great. They are taken in my son's bedroom. He made a camp out tent in his bedrooms out of doona, so he's laying on a couple of doonas, and then he's managed to, I don't know, put some bits of wood from one side to another and throw another blanket over the top, and he's sleeping inside it just like Steve Backshall does. So he's a bit of a fan of Steve Backshall. So I've pulled out the papers from my kit at the time, and I have subscribed to the Kitaholic Kit Club, and this is the papers from, I'm going to say August Kit Club. It might even be a couple of papers there from the July as well, or it might be the June, July. It's one of the kits. I don't keep track of them that well. I just put them in a drawer. I keep them all together. I generally use up one pretty well before the next one arrives, but I always have a little bits of paper here and there left over. So I've torn down the black star paper, and I've just kept a rough edge there, and I have mounted that on the background paper, which has, lines and dotted lines running down it. Now just pulling out this bright blue piece of paper and going to tear the edges of that as well, just to keep it in line with the black paper, so the same thing is repeating there. And I've pulled out that triangle paper. Now some of these papers are definitely left over from a previous kit, and I think that triangle paper is one of those, I think. So I initially cut it down with the little triangle pattern that was for a previous project, and this is the leftover piece, and have decided I'll just leave that on here as is. And now I fiddle around trying to get my two photos and the papers all to sit the way that I would like to see them sitting. So I've put them down. I do actually pull them up and twist those photos a little bit. I don't like the way they're laying there at the moment. I shift them around so the tilts, the bottom one tilts a different direction. Add that blue paper to repeat that element over there, and the same with this triangle paper. Put a small strip down there, and now I want to add a black piece there as well to bring that black across to that side of the page. I thought about using that little house paper, but I thought by the time I trimmed it down so it was the right thickness, you wouldn't see any of the houses anyway, so I didn't go with that. I used this branding strip that has stars on it. Just adjusting this up to make this look right. It was spread out a little bit. I didn't want quite so much of that blue paper showing, and now this is where I tilt that photo so it has a slightly different tilt to it. I do actually fussy cut out a couple of the the houses from that paper, and I put them on as just little tiny houses. Go through the ephemera from this month and probably what's left over, or I've pulled some out from my stash, one of the two, and see what I can use. I initially had all those black pieces out there, but I think I end up throwing the whole lot back in and using none of those. And here we go. I have a look at the piece. No, 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 and no. So I don't know what I took them out in the first place. So I'm left with some red pieces here and decided, well, it looks like it's going to be red. It's going to be the theme of today's. I go through my alphas here to see what I can use, and I pull out these ones here, and I'm going to use those blue and red ones in the middle. I have that frame. I'm going to tuck it in there. I do get it back out, and I actually back some vellum behind it just to mute down the back a little bit. A tip here, I used wet glue to mount my vellum, and yeah, that wasn't a wise move. It sort of made it curl and buckle a fair bit, so next time I'll definitely make sure I use some double-sided tape. So I put down the frame there, and I grab out these little stickers in a moment, and I put on Being Steve Backshul, as that's what Eddie is doing. Here's where I cut out those two little houses, so I put two of those on the page. I think they're quite cute. Seeing what else I can do. This is where I put down the title. I can't remember whether I make you watch me do all that. I do hope not, because it's pretty much the same. You see me one, you see me doing it all, but I may do. How has everyone been? You all been well? Has everyone managed to do a bit of scrapping, bit of art journaling, whatever it is that you like to do? So I've put that down, liking the way that's coming together, and then I pull out my label maker and I print out a label that says camping rough on the bedroom floor. Oh, just camping rough in the bedroom. Sorry, if I could get a bit closer, I can see what it says. Yes, definitely camping rough in the bedroom. So I print that out and stick that below the blue tiles there. You see them there. And then I go back through my ephemera stash and see what else I can use. As I'm putting away these labels here, I decide that I want to put a bit more of a title down. So I flip through to see what I can use, and I pull out the light blue stickers here, and I put down the bottom Your Hero, as that pretty much represents what Steve Backshul is to Eddie. So he actually came and did a live show last year, and we went and saw him live, and of course Eddie loved that as well. So packing these away, you can see there how I store on my thickers. I just not thickers, my letter stickers. I have an album with just some page protectors. They're quite thick page protectors, and I store all my alpha stickers in there by colour. So now just going to glue this down. You can't see the tape because I put it in a place that you can't see, and I stick that down there. Put these two little houses down, they're cute little houses as they are. And then, as I said, I go through my ephemera and see what I can pull out. I use 3 of these wood buttons. I think I pulled the backing off a couple of them. They're a little bit thick, so I pull the backing foam off and just lay them down without any backing. And just use some double-sided tape to lay those down. Pull out this little round This Is Me. I thought that was quite appropriate. And once I go into my stash, I start seeing some of these space-themed products. So I pull out that planet that goes up the top as I've got the stars in the background. I think, oh, that ties in well enough for me. And I go through and find a rocket as well, and that goes on the page. What else goes? I think I pulled out a label that says your story, and you can see that up there at the top. That stays there. So that planet and that's your story stays there. Oh, and then I go through my red ephemera, and I don't pull much out from here, but I think that's where I get the rocket from. There it is there, that goes on there. And I actually come across a tent, which I cut up a little bit because it's got some green grass on it that I didn't want to include. There's that tent, but I cut that green out and I do put the tent on as well. Shuffling things around, put a little red label up there just to bring a touch of red up the top, as I have all that red with the frame down the bottom. And start putting some stuff down. Just going to mount the rocket on some foam to give it a little bit of dimension. It sits up above the frame there, and that sits on there nicely. So popping that there, and this is where I trim out the grass off the tent, and I move the This Is Me, and I put the tent there instead, and that fits in there quite nicely. I do have that little bit of gap there that I'm conscious of, so I'm definitely trying to fill that space in, and that fits in there just nicely. And then I put the This Is Me below the tent, and then I come back in and I do my journaling, and I just say in the journaling, you do love Steve Batchel. I can't actually read what it says. What's that say? Oh, any chance. Right, it's an and. Sorry, I'll go again. You do love Steve Batchel, and any chance you get to camp tough like him, you take it. My pen's conked out halfway through the end. I think I better go back in and fix that up. Oh, that's a bit funny, isn't it? So just rearrange these wooden dots, wooden buttons, put 3 of those around, and that pretty much comes to the end of this layout. I hope you managed to stay through with my croaky voice. Got a bit of a cold at the moment, so I've managed to get through without coughing. And just drawing a rough border around. I seem to enjoy doing that a little bit at the moment. Put the journal down. That comes to the end of it. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope you come back, and I will catch you on the next one. Talk to you then. Have a wonderful day. Bye.